Hi guys. Hi. Wait. Hi guys. Welcome to Gist and Unwind. That is our working title for now. I don't know how long that's gonna last. Chances are it's gonna change, but a lot of things about this project are gonna change and evolve as time goes. But for right now, our working title is still Gist and Unwind, where we unwind, and we learn and have fun in the process. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate. If this is not your first time, again, I welcome you. Thank you for coming back. I really do appreciate it. So for those of you who this is their first time seeing me, and even for the returners, I think I'm going to take a brief moment to kind of reintroduce myself and reintroduce what we're trying to do here. So the last time I recorded was about 2 years ago, and at that time I was really experimenting with what this space was going to be. I tried some. There was a time I just had audio, and it was more of like a hot topics kind of thing, and then there was a time I had more niche topics where I was talking about pharmacy, but particularly questions that I was getting asked in the pharmacy. And I was, in that space where I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with this thing. And then life kind of happened. At the time, I had two little girls, and then I got pregnant again with my third girl. And my aunt, who was around to help me, left. So it was just me and my husband and the kids, and I was working. And it just seemed like I didn't have the time to give this the attention that it really needed. I still don't, but you know what? I'm here. I can't wait for when everything is perfect and all the stars align. I've been waiting for the stars to align, and 2 or 3 years passed, and a couple more babies happened, and the stars are still not aligned. So I'm here. Let's just go, okay? So yeah, so I had the baby. I got pregnant, and I just seemed to not have time, right? And then soon after I had that baby, I started school when that child was 3 weeks. I started my master's program. So I really, really didn't have time. And then in the middle of that master's program, I got pregnant again. And then I definitely did not have any kind of time. So that's what I've been doing in the time. And all that while I kept thinking about this. I kept thinking about this idea, this space, because this is something that I've wanted to do for such a long time. I started listening to podcasts and YouTube before it was popular. Like in the, I would say in the YouTube, I started consuming content on YouTube in the mid 2000s, and then podcasts shortly thereafter, maybe towards the end of the 2000s. And at this time, both of these weren't really popular, especially podcasts. They weren't a thing. They weren't the kind of thing they are now. And that was when I wanted to try podcasting. And see how I feel about it or how I fare in it. But I have a problem with procrastinating sometimes, so I never got around to it. And while I was waiting and procrastinating, it just became a thing, and so many people started making podcasts. And now the competition for your attention, that is you, the consumer, is so much, and it's so overwhelming and intimidating for people like myself. So I just never came back around. Or I never really started until about 2 years ago when like I told you guys, when I really started experimenting. So that is a brief recap of what has happened in the past and where I am now. So what am I trying to accomplish now? What is it that I'm trying to do now? Rome was not built in a day, as they say, and I'm certainly not trying to build Rome in a day, couple days, couple years. I'm not trying to do that. This is really a fusion of a couple of things that I really like. I've already kind of let you in on how much I do enjoy podcasts. I consume a lot of content through podcasts. I listen to a couple of podcasts. So my favorite ones are The Brilliant Idiots, Andrew Schultz's podcast. I listen to TED Talks podcast. I have a lot. I usually have my week. When I was really heavy into listening to podcasts before I had kids, when I was working overnight, I would have it set up. I would have which episode I was listening to, which day and for how long, because that's one of the things about podcasts. You can kind of, it doesn't have to take, you don't have to actively listen to it. You can passively listen to it while you're doing other things, and that's one of the things I really liked about it. So like I said, this is a fusion of a couple of things that I really like. Podcasting, documenting. I like to document. I like to keep chronicles, keep a record of what I am going through or what is happening, and I like to go back and see what was happening at different times in my life, see what I've learned from it, see the person I am. I have evolved to compared to who I was at that time. So I like to document things. I've kept a written journal since I was in college, since I was in university. Sometimes I was more consistent and sometimes not so, depending on what was happening in the year. Like the year my father died, I wrote a lot. The year I got married, I wrote a lot. So if there's a lot of things happening, I write, I document a lot, because I find that it helps me to keep track of when you're writing forces you to slow down as you're thinking, right? Because you can't write as quickly as you're thinking. So you really have to slow down and pause and kind of synthesize and distill your thoughts and then bring them all back together. And that gave me a sense of clarity and understanding of whatever it is that I was going through. So it's really essential for me. So I like to document. So now I'm trying video documenting or video journaling or video diary keeping. I probably am not going to, divulge of my, the things I'm going to write in my diary. But, that's one of the things I'm trying to do on here. Another thing is, so I've told you that it's a fusion of three things. One is my love for podcasting and long format content, both consumption and production. I have not produced much, but I anticipate and suspect that I do like it. And that's what I'm trying to do here. And the last thing is learning and growing and really putting myself in uncomfortable situations, which is what I am doing more of late. I really like to learn. I'm very curious. That's one thing about me. That's one thing that I can say is consistent and a strength of mine, is that I am super, super curious, It's hard for me to get bored because I could always find something that piques my interest, and looking for information about whatever that thing is, it's going to keep me engaged. So I like to learn. I love to learn. Once upon a time, I wanted to, before all of this podcasting thing, right? My original idea was to open up a blog where I would, this was like this has to be early 2000s, because I remember, I was about to date myself, but I remember, pulling a couple of my friends and asking them where they think I should travel to, like if I had a ticket to go anywhere in the world, can they tell me where I should? They give me suggestions, and I told them that I had a ticket. I had a ticket, I could go wherever I want to, so they should just tell me where it is and I'm gonna go. A lot of people actually thought I had an actual ticket. I never did. But what I had was my mind, my imagination, resources to read about wherever I was gonna go. And I planned to write blogs about these places without going there. At this time, I didn't even know of such a thing as travel, whatever, travel blogs, there was no YouTube, there was no Instagram, people vlogging about traveling. It wasn't really a thing then, So the point of this is like, I've always liked to learn, and you could see that this idea has always been percolating, in my subconscious, and every now and then it comes to the forefront, and then it retreats back, and then it goes back and forth. But learning. I read a lot. I've recently restructured my life, changed jobs, I've graduated, so I have a lot of, no, I don't have a lot of time. I actually make time to read because I have four children. So when you have four little kids, I'm talking about little kids, you don't have a lot of time. Your time kind of revolves around them. And so, but reading is something I really enjoy. And so I make time for that because it's just, it's just something that makes me feel like it's something that is for me and makes me feel alive and thriving and vibrant. Because sometimes when we have children, moms, all you moms and dads out there, sometimes our life can be consumed with being a mom and being there for the kids and being there for our spouses, which is a good thing. It can be good to be there, but not to be consumed by them. So I make time for myself to read and do the things that I really, really want to do just for myself. And I find that when I pour into my own cup and I pour in liberally, and I can only pour in liberally because I create time that is separate from when all these other people need me. And in that time, I'm selfish with that time and I pour into my own self liberally. It makes me a much better person when I'm dealing with other people, when I'm dealing with my children, when I'm a mom, when I'm a wife, when I'm a sister, a daughter, So I'm digressing. Coming back, I love to read, and so and I like to learn. And this is also going to be a way for me to keep track and document the things that I'm learning and seeing the progress. So a couple of things I want to see. I'm going to try to do this consistently. I have a number in my mind of how long I want to do this consistently. I'm not going to say it because I don't know. I don't feel like it's necessary for me to say. But a couple of things that I want to see my growth and my journey and my trajectory as I do this is, the first thing is I want to see, I have to write it down, okay? I'll figure out a way to make all these things come together as we do this. But so a couple of things, there are three things that I want to see what happens with as I embark on this journey. The first thing is my articulation and my speech, how I talk, how I deliver my ideas and my thoughts, how I explain what I have been reading or what I have been going through through the week, and see if I can notice deficits and see if I improve on those deficits, not deposits, deficits. So I want to watch that. Okay. The other thing that I want to watch is also my comfort in front of the camera and how I present in front of the camera. Like I would like to see my editing improve. Before, one of the reasons why I hadn't come up to do this is because I was like, there's so many things that you need to be able to put out a video or put out a content. You have to know about your mics and this and that and this and the other, and every time I think about it, I'll have this analysis paralysis and just stop. I'll just stop, like those he goats that when you startle them, they just and fall. Yeah, that's exactly what would happen to me. So I just told myself, like, stop. I would see people who had just their phone. All they had is their phone and they'll put stuff out there. I actually have a camera. I also have a mic that I don't know how they all go together, but with time we're going to figure all this out. So I want to see that, and I'm challenging myself to be consistent and be committed to improving, and because there is going to be something on the other side of that journey, not necessarily monetary rewards or fame. I'm not really looking for fame, but I think that there's going to be something. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking forward to discovering what's on the other side of the journey. My articulation and presentation, my comfort in front of the camera, my editing skills, and then in the things that I'm reading and learning, of course, I would like to see um, how I evolve, as I learn more things, and add to the to all the blocks that are going in, and all the ideas that are percolating and coming together in my head. I would like to see how they come together. Another thing that I'm gonna do on here is, some of you know that I'm learning Spanish. I've been stuck in the intermediate level for so long, and I've given myself a time period to become absolutely conversational in Spanish, because I have everything it takes to get there, but I'm just holding myself back. There's a couple of things that are holding me back. And that's also one of the reasons why I'm doing on here. See, so this morning, I don't know what made this come to my mind, and I realized that, this long pause, when I come back, I need to see it gone. But I was thinking that, whenever on the other side of, our pride and really our pride, if we can get through that and get humble with whatever it is that we're trying to attack, the other side of it is just a world of things to discover, a world of rewards. Like, bringing it back to this language thing, I look at my kids who are little and are learning language. They're learning English and Igbo for the first time. And you see that the difference between them and myself is that they don't care how they look. They don't care how they sound. They're not here to impress you. They don't care. They could care less what you think about how they sound. They just want you to understand, and they put in effort to make sure that they communicate and you understand what they're trying to say. And that is one of the things that I lack. As we become adults and pride comes into play and ego comes into play, you become conscious of what you look like and what you sound like. And so I hold back from speaking. And one thing about learning the language, anybody who has intentionally and seriously learned the language would tell you, is that you cannot become fluent or proficient in the language or in any skill, not just speaking, without practicing. I don't care if you're learning how to play a trumpet, learning how to walk, learning how to speak a second or a third, that you have to practice. And in the practicing, you're gonna look, less than polished. But the only way to look polished is to work out the kinks. You know what I mean? Like, you have to work it out. So that's one thing I'm hoping to do on here, and to do in my personal life. There's a couple of things I'm still reading and reviewing Spanish or what, and like the grammar, but I'm putting in more effort to speak. There's a couple of ways that I'm doing that, and which I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. So the format that we're gonna go with for now is I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna talk to you guys about my week, just a general, diary, updating you. Will I make this a Dear Diary thing? I don't know. Kind of update you guys on what's been going on. Then I will let you know the goals that I set out for myself for the week, which ones I accomplished and which ones I didn't accomplish, and why not. Like, this past week, I spoke for the first time in Spanish in Clubhouse. It was full of kinks. Full of kinks and so unpolished. When I'm speaking to myself, like, when I'm by myself, I'm a little bit better, but that's the whole point of putting yourself out there. So those are the kind of things I want to talk about. I'm almost done with my current book that I'm reading. I can't wait to finish it. I'm hoping I'll be done in about 2 days, because I'm ready to move on. I have a stack of books that I would like to get to. I'm reading The Great Risk Shift by Jacob S. Hacker. I think it's a good read. I think it's a good read for all Americans. It's The Great Risk Shift, the New Economic Insecurity and the Decline of American Freedom. And it's basically saying how in the last 4 to 5 decades, risk has really been shifted from the powers that be, and by that I mean government, I mean big businesses, people who could take on a little bit more risk than the individuals, and it's been slowly being shifted from these people to American families, and it's chronicling how these things happen and where we are right now. And I anticipate that in the end, he's going to share his ideas on how we can turn the tide on that. An example of a risk shift, in case you don't understand what I'm talking about, is, for example, retirement. For a long time, and most people had pension plans. Most people had jobs that paid into pension plans, and with the pension, you were guaranteed a certain amount of money after you retire for as long as you lived, or I don't know if they put certain stipulations, but you were guaranteed a certain amount of money. And what they were able to do this because they pooled from the risks involved and inherent in doing that kind of business was mitigated by pooling over a large group of people. And over the course of time, the risk has been shifted back to the individual, and you don't have as much pension plans. What we have now is 401ks, which is not guaranteed. 401k is very risky. Depending on when you retire and how the market is doing, you could end up very well, or you could end up with very little, or you can end up a lot and outlive how much you have saved. And most Americans are not even putting money into their 401k, And so that's an example of what the kind of things this book is talking about, how the risk has been shifted back to the individual. And I don't even think that the average American understands this and knows this. And I think it's important that the message and information gets out there. We hear the sound bites that the politicians want us to hear. Most of these times, these politicians don't even understand what they are saying or what they're trying to propagate. They just understand, what is fed to them by think tanks and people who have their ideas and agendas about how things should be. But many times they don't even get it. They have not done the homework and really understood what it is that they're trying to do. So anyways, that's what this book is about, and I highly recommend it. Go read it. At the very least, it'll help you try to figure out where the risks are much in your life, and you try to find out how to mitigate those and how to navigate going forward to provide a much more secure, just a much more secure existence for yourself and your family. Okay, so that's it on this. I wonder if I've sold it. But anyways, I think I'm going to stop here for now. I'll see you guys next week, and I'll tell you what is going on, what I've read, my goals for the week, which ones I've met and which ones I did not meet, what's my goals for the upcoming week. It's the holiday season. Super excited. If you know me, you know I am a holiday queen. I love decorating. I love everything. I love it. Once the weather starts to change, I get all excited. I've made my list of people who are going to get Christmas cards because, yes, I am that girl. I like to send Christmas cards. I have reached out, or not quite, but I have told my husband, and we're going to reach out to the guy that helps us hangs the Christmas lights. Me and my husband used to do that in the past. No. We would spend all day doing that, and we would do what we would do would be a very, very basic, very basic, and we would literally spend 8 hours outside on the weekend doing that. We're not doing that. This is not worth it. I'd rather outsource that. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Thanksgiving is coming up. We're gonna go spend some time with my siblings in the Dallas area. So I'm looking forward to the decorations, going to buy more decorations. I have more time. Like I told you guys, I've recently restructured life where I have it's easier for me to carve out time to do certain things. So I'm looking forward to doing that, God willing. Um, Thanks, guys. Goodbye, and I'll see you next week. Bye. As I hobble.